Roll call.
Jennifer Lynn, online. Yvette, online. Jeremiah. Not here.
He said he's going to be late.
Jay Dondi, Phil for Rodney. Jan Diamond. Nope. No Jan.
No.
There's Jeremiah.
There's Jeremiah.
Nick Bird.
Here.
John Dennis.
Here.
Tyler. Here. Chris Lewis.
Here.
Martha Conti. Online.
Is that for me to say here?
Yep.
Yep.
You're good.
Yep, sorry.
Tom's here. Peter Eldon.
Here.
Manuel. Here. Jenny Feldman. No. Raina Roche. Nope. Jamie. Hey, Jamie. Bill Jackson. Nope. Bill Sharman. Nope. Paige. Hey. The Quadro. Leslie Wong. Nope.
Just walked in.
Hey, Leslie. Chris Cologne. Nope. Anna Kramer. Nope. Mindy. You're here, right? Nope.
Yeah, I'm here.
He's on.
Sean.
I'm on.
Jeanne Sordo. Nope. Steve Slauson. Nope. Bruce Liu. Hey, Bruce. Andrew Potchley. Nope. All right, you have quorum. 18.
All right.
You already recorded, point of order, I guess is you've already, me as, sitting in for Rodney?
Yeah.
I think we typically go around the room, so any attendees would like to introduce themselves. We can go over, you want to start on this end? You want to go ahead and just introduce yourself and just say hi to everybody?
I'm Billy Zeller from Marin County.
Welcome. Very good. Welcome.
Steve Del Costello, President of the Republican Forum of San Francisco, and soon to be candidate for 11th Convention.
Good to see you, Eve.
Tom Slickman for the Safer Committee meeting of the SFGOP.
Hey, Tom.
George Gloria, with San Francisco Election Integrity Team, and also inviting people to, well, actually, take that for them.
Okay.
Heather Wagenhals, Marina Del Rey, and I'm part of Team California and Leo Zacky.
Very good.
I'm Leo Zacky. I'm a candidate for governor in California, and I'm from Los Angeles.
Okay. Welcome, Leo.
Jacob Spangler, former executive director of the SFGOP, newly elected president of the San Francisco Republican Assembly.
Congratulations, Jacob.
I'm BW Somerville, and I'm from resident of San Francisco.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Ronnie Kroll, manager for Leo Zacky. I hope you're next governor of California.
Outstanding. Okay. Meeting minutes. You guys, I hope have viewed the minutes. I'll put them up here. Everybody to see. Are there any comments or changes on the minutes? Hearing none, is there anyone opposed to approving the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. We've got the agenda. Let's see. Is our agenda for today?
The parliamentary procedure.
Yeah, please.
We need a motion from the floor to approve minutes and then a second to that.
Okay, we'll keep.
I will move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Jacob.
Okay. Is there anyone opposed to approving the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. The agenda. The agenda was distributed. Are there any comments or changes to the agenda? The only one that I can think of is, I think we want to add Leo to speak briefly in the speaker section.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we add Leo Zacky, candidate for governor, to the agenda for a few minutes of presentation.
Fair enough.
Second.
Okay. Are there any opposed to the agenda with that change?
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Okay.
Second.
Is there any opposed? Thank you. We have an agenda. So first up is guest speakers, and I think first Leo, thank you for coming and joining us. So we'll actually have you kick it off and go ahead and you know what I'm going to do, just so that everybody online can see you. I'm going to have you switch seats with me. So why don't you come on up?
Sure.
And
Thanks, Nick.
of course. Okay. Go ahead right here.
How's this work?
Yeah, you can stand. It's good too.
Yeah, does that work?
Yeah, it works. Can everybody online see Leo? Fantastic.
All right, cool. All right, well, I appreciate it. How much time do you want me to?
We need like 10 minutes and leave 10 minutes for questions.
Sure.
Yeah.
That works. Well, first off, thank you everybody for letting me come and speak to y'all this evening. Obviously, I'm running for governor. We've got a lot of things we have to change here in the state of California. And just a quick background about me. My background's in the poultry industry. Family had Zacky Farms. I was the vice president of the company, worked my way up to earn that position. I was a board member for the California Poultry Federation for a decade. And in 2019, we had to shut down our operations because we were overregulated out of business. So I'm a prime example of what happens in California with the way that our current legislature is operating. We're unable to be competitive here in this state, not just in the local market, but in the global market, which I played in. And Californians are fleeing. I mean, how many of you in this room know somebody or have considered moving out of state themselves? You know, it's pretty much everybody. It's what's happening is unsustainable. So I've decided to get into the race. I've been trying this for a couple of years. I finally actually have a proper team now. It's very hard being an outsider, but it's okay. I've got really great people. I've got people from the RFK team, the Trump presidential campaign as well, that are helping me achieve these goals. We're working with a lot of people behind the scenes to make this happen. And the solutions that I'm bringing are just common sense. And it's about creating the concept of Team California here. What we're missing is the unifying aspect. Right now, we just have people on the, saying, you're a Democrat, you're an idiot, you're a Republican, you're a racist, end of conversation. No progress gets made, and we don't ever get to have actual goals achieved where we bring people together and create the concept of Team California, where we can actually achieve these goals, not just in legislature, but all levels of the state. We have to fix this divide. Obviously, Republicans are extremely outnumbered in the state, and we have to galvanize the youth, and we have to win the moderate left if we're ever going to have a chance at winning statewide elections here. I don't believe my competition has the ability to do that. And if we're going to just keep running to lose in a general election, there's no point in actually trying to make any real effort, is there? If we're just going to run to lose, 35 to 65 in a general election, why even make the effort? Why waste the time? Why go to the meetings? Why spend the money? It's not working. The plans I've developed for California encompass a whole vast array of things where we can utilize the resources in the state, where we can generate additional revenue streams with water, with oil, with the logging industry, even getting Cal Fire to be something that could be a net revenue positive generator. These are all things that we can create. My background in business has taught me on how we can do this. Anything you want to do in business has to have a way of offsetting its expense. That's what I built into my solutions. Part of my homeless to home program incorporates just that, where we get them off the street into treatment and give them the ability to actually get a job skill, rebuild their self-esteem, and get them back integrated into the workforce, into society. What we're doing obviously isn't working. And these are issues that people in California recognize. It doesn't matter whether you're in a big city or not, homelessness is rife throughout the state. And it's a top issue. We can do this. And these are just a few examples of what we can do. But we can emphasize the importance of creating a new revenue stream. And that's what I really want to do. especially with the oil. We tap into the oil, we build reservoirs, harness the water, get to the point where we can then auction off our Colorado Rivershed allocation, which we get the lion's share of, have affordable water, affordable utilities, which brings down the cost of living, food prices come down. These are all things that combined will make the quality of life for Californians far better. People want affordability. They want to see the homeless off their streets. They want to feel safe. We need to make sure that the kids are getting proper education. We can do that. We can cultivate the mindset in the youth by bringing back trade skills into schools, exposing them to shop class and home ec early on, having a UC school dedicated just to vocational skills. These are all things that I've come up with that we can do for the state that will help not only get the kids better educated, but kept them educated here in California. And when you educate them in California, they stay in California, they become productive in California, and the state grows. We need to have young blood in this race. And it's time that we recognize that the millennials and Gen Z are a very important part of these upcoming elections. There's some really important information you guys need to understand. This year, the youngest millennial turns 30 years old. 75% of Gen Z is eligible to vote in this election. If they are not taken seriously, if they are not shown a path forward in life, they will either continue to vote down the socialist Marxist path, or they simply won't vote at all. This is our missed opportunity if we don't take advantage of it. We can show the youth in this state that Republicans and conservatism is the way forward, and we can help bolster the ranks of the party by doing so. If we're not grabbing them, we're just going to continue to slide until it's beyond a supermajority where we won't even have a chance. I would like to see us do well in the midterms, but I don't feel confident that it's going to happen. With the Prop 50 that just passed, we're going to be extremely outnumbered just in the congressional seats alone. This is our time to take back California. I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, obviously people have issues with election integrity stuff, and we have to also make sure that we're inspiring people that their voice matters. We have to propagate the concept of the power of one, that your voice actually matters and it counts. People just say, oh, I'm just one vote. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to vote. I don't trust the election system. And they just give up. We have to instill the concept that they are powerful, that they do have a voice and it does matter. We can do this. We can talk. We're always talking about election integrity. I was up in Reading a couple of weeks ago with the ROV up there. He's got a great plan to help make sure that we can have secure elections. And to do it just in Shasta County alone would only cost $300,000 one-time fee. So we can implement his plan all across the state. Obviously, larger counties like San Francisco and LA will be far more expensive, but it's a doable thing. And what he's doing, working within the system, how it's already laid out from a legal perspective, is a lot better than what we're currently doing. So I'd like to be able to help teach people about that, get people informed so that way they can talk to their ROVs as well. So we're working with a lot of different people to do that. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, I got to speak at CPAC twice this year. I've got a great relationship with them. I got endorsed by Dr. Robert Malone. I'm working very closely with the MAHA people and folks that were on RFK's team. And I mean, I'm a center-right conservative, and that's what it's going to take to win in this state. Running the ball hard right like we've been doing, it's not working. We can't continue to die on the hill of abortion and gay rights because it's not going to work. We're just going to give the left all the ammo that they need to beat us down every time because they're going to be single subject voters. And right now it's affordability, it's homelessness, obviously gas prices. I guess that's tied into affordability and people not feeling safe. And we have to show people that there is a way that we can do that. Giving them a good economy is going to make sure that they're feeling safe. When people have the opportunity to go and create a business because things have been streamlined, they will have a safer community. How great would it be just to be able to go to the state website and say, I want to start I want to open a bar, you know, I need a liquor license, I want to open a restaurant, you know, whatever. It propagates that all there for you using like an LLM, some sort of like Grok or AI or whatever. Tells you how to do it, gives you the form, you do it all online, submit it electronically. It tells you if you messed up, you make the corrections, resubmit it. When you're approved, instantly tells you that you're approved, and the inspector will be out this date, this time. Gets rid of all the bureaucratic bloat, gets people into business a hell of a lot quicker, creating jobs. I mean, if one person starts a bar, that's 15 jobs they just created. This is the kind of stuff that we need to do to stimulate the economy. But we have the technology. We just have to have people that have this forward-thinking mindset that can bring people together on the concept that you'll be able to create your own wealth. You'll have your independence back. That's what I've developed for the state. Trying to think, I mean, I could talk about wildfire issues. I mean, a whole host of stuff. I mean, this is stuff I've really passionately thought about. This is my home. I'm a fourth generation Californian, born and raised in Los Angeles, spent a lot of time in the Central Valley. I've been up and down the state. I know this place, plain and simple. So, oh, am I missing anything?
Let's open it up to questions.
Yeah.
We'll open up the question. Sorry, we have our next speaker. I just want to.
Sorry,
Well, I'm just going to let them in just so that we
Oh.
they know that they're up. Well, they're going to be up. Okay. Any questions?
Yep. So, housing, we'll tell you that the cost of the rent is, super
Oh, yeah.
high, so on. What do you plan on doing there?
Right. So, a lot of the housing issues come from environmental regulations, which cause building materials to be expensive, which makes it hard to build new homes. Obviously, things like CEQA and the Coastal Commission are big barriers to being able to get things done in an efficient manner. We have to deregulate, not deregulate safety regulations, just deregulate where you can get things done in a timely manner. We have to make the state insurable again. I mean, the cost of insurance, like if you bring a guy in on a job site for one day, you have to have an insurance plan for that person that comes on the job site. Those are all things that are cost prohibitive. Utilities also make things very expensive because when your sewer rates go up, I mean, that's actually a really huge cost, and that's directly tied to things like water as well. I mean, we're paying 41 cents a kilowatt hour on average in this state. It's not sustainable. We have to use things like small modular nuclear reactors, and then also hydroelectric with dams. That's also part of my water abundance project as well. So implementing things like that will help bring the cost down. And yeah, I mean, it's a part of it.
That sounds awesome. One more question, sorry.
Sure.
So we're trying to build this, high-speed rail between LA and Paso.
I don't know if trying is the right word.
Yes, we're trying. You pick the word. So how can we finish that? Is there any kind of plan that you're supposed to
Just
tackle that?
scrap the project. It's a waste. It's money laundering. And whatever we've built, just leave it as a monument to, just complete failure and waste, and let people be reminded that this is what happens when you're not on top of your government.
I heard that Prop 50 is being contested in the federal courts this month.
Yes.
It still could be thrown out.
I think they just ruled on it today.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Against us. Oh, you kidding?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Eddie knows I love Vegas, but why does the city create a casino or two? To create, fun and jobs and entertainment and all that.
Well, why is probably based more on, who they know as opposed to anything. I mean, there are casinos that aren't Indian casinos in the state. I mean, in LA, I mean, we had Hollywood Park Casino, there's Hustler Casino.
For the city of San Francisco. You got this place called Treasure Island, which I always thought would go there.
Yeah, I think that's going to be more a local issue when it comes to getting something like that approved. So,
Could we put that, on the menu of
well, legalize gambling in California?
mainly San Francisco for entertainment and jobs?
I mean, it's a thought. I'd like to see whatever math plays out for how that will be a good net revenue driver. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I know that casinos do bring a lot of income. They also do bring jobs. So, I mean, if the math works out,
I think they also have respect for the Native American tribes, and there's certain types of casinos that you can access.
correct, like card rooms and stuff like that. So there's
a full slot machine.
I do want to give the Native Americans though, proper stuff. They don't have to play the stupid roulette, and let them have dice, operate like any other Indian casino across the country. But
entertainment that can come with,
of course,
clothing, and shopping.
no, I totally understand, but we also have to have a place that's safe that would want to be able to support that kind of industry. Because look what's going on in the city right now. I mean, you have over 1 million square feet of just retail shopping space in that one mall alone. that nobody's going to because of all the criminality down there.
All right, we're gonna do these 2 questions and then we gotta move on. Go ahead, George.
Well, Leila, you said it really well. We only got 35% of people voting Republican in the state. That's the major problem. And I look at it as a major educational problem we have to kind of, because people have not been very well educated on our country and its history and the principles. We are going to have the 250th anniversary of the founding of our country in July. What do you know of any celebrations that are going to be that can finally maybe bring some of the younger Generation Z and so forth up to speed on the true nature of the founding of our country in California? And what do you recommend that we should do? What should this committee do? What all of us should do in terms of helping to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our country in a way that will get through to people who have not really had a proper education. Many of our young people ask the true nature of how this country was founded and what the meaningfulness of what it is.
Honestly, I mean, if you guys could get like a proper parade and like get that set up ahead of time, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that the news will pay attention to. And if you've got floats and stuff like that that are, specifically designed to talk about the great history and heritage of our country, that could make a big difference. I'm also someone that like I kind of, don't take this the wrong way, I hate going to fireworks shows and they're playing like all the new pop music. Like I liked it when it was like, the old time da, 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 I kind of like that, like Americana stuff. I think we need to bring more of that back.
Last question.
I'm interested in your experience in the poultry industry. What regulations specifically led to challenges of the business you have?
Oh, dude, it wasn't just one. I mean, between minimum wage going up by 50%, what was that, 2016 or 10, something like, well, I forget. The minimum wage going up 50%. Then you have the utility price hikes. You've got the rule we had to have the square footage requirements for the birds. So we essentially lost half of our real estate space because of that. And, you've got 30,000 chickens in one, 55 by 895 foot house, and you got 10 of these on a ranch, and you lose half your production space just by regulations like that. From the federal side, the ethanol mandate that Obama passed, that was a killer. Price of corn went up 450%. And that's our predominant thing that we use 95% of grade A corn in our feed mix. So that was cost prohibitive. California Air Resources Board, we used to have our own fleet of trucks. When carb regulations began getting more and more strict with trucking, we lost the cost-effective portion of having our own fleet. And so we had to sell our fleet of trucks and then go to a leasing company because it was the next most affordable option, even though it was still more expensive than what we had previously been doing. So, I mean, there's a whole host of things that were combined that made it impossible for us to have a price point that was competitive. And what started happening was all sorts of products from across the country and overseas was flooding into California because it had a lower cost price point. So when I got to the point where I could produce it here in California and get beat by a guy trucking it in from Georgia to sell it to the grocery store down the street, we got a problem. And that's why you're seeing all these other businesses move out. I mean, think about it. Oracle's gone, Tesla's gone, In-N-Out Burger left, 99-cent stores went out of business. We were the largest privately owned employer in the state of California. But I'm also doing a couple other projects. I got 2 great companies. One's plastic waste conversion, and another one is protein replication using stem cells from plants. They're going very well. They're both valued over $100 million. So I'm doing quite well in my own right. So I'm more than just a chicken farmer. I got a lot of things going on.
Thank you so much for coming to visit us.
I appreciate it. Thank you. You have more than 2 choices.
Good luck. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
What's your website?
Oh yeah, leozacky.com. And check out my interview I just did with Dr. Phil that just dropped yesterday.
I got a question. I'm kind of
Oh,
like, was
so-
it running?
Sorry,
Governor.
No, that's good.
all right. Sheriff Bianco, my apologies that we're running a little bit late, but you are up next. You want to take yourself off mute? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for joining us and for appearing before us. Everybody, there's a good number of people in the room, so go ahead and we're probably maybe 10 minutes of introducing yourself and then we'll have maybe 10 minutes of questions.
Very good. A little bit less than that, but we'll make it work and
Okay.
make sure that we do all of your questions. So
Fair enough.
number one, thank you. Appreciate being here. Hello, everybody there in San Francisco. I'm sorry I couldn't make the meeting in person. I'm currently in Washington, D.C. When this campaign began, I don't think I really thought about the impossible task of being everywhere at the same time. But luckily, we can use technology to assist in the task of saving this beautiful state. I appreciate everything that you all are doing for your county and everything that you're doing to hopefully rescue our state. And I'm honored to be considered tonight as your choice to lead California in a great comeback. As I hope all of you know, I'm currently the sheriff of Riverside County, the fourth largest sheriff's office in the country. I have 4,400 employees, 4,200 inmates on a daily basis, 13 patrol stations, 17 contract cities as their chief of police. So I have 17 city councils that I answer to also, 16 courthouses, 5 jails. I have 12 Indian nations that we operate government to government to. I'm also the coroner and the public administrator, and my annual budget is just shy of $1.3 billion. Since 2019, I have, and I always will, finish in the black. I'm extremely fiscally conservative, and I believe that government is supposed to spend what they have, not keep asking for more of your money. I say all of that just to point out that I'm going to be the only candidate from all parties with a resume and proven leadership ability to accomplish the monumental task of righting the wrong in Sacramento. I say that to point out that if we were only going off of resume, I would be the hands down choice as the only candidate on the ballot with the qualifications to fix our state. Republicans are in a fantastic spot with the 2026 election, but we must take advantage of it. We have to do something different than we've done in the past 40 years. We must rally behind the candidate who has the ability to win, and I am that only person capable. I mean, there's absolutely zero respect to Leo. To be honest with you, the little joke at the end, more than 2 candidates. Truth be told, Leo is 10 times the candidate of the other one. But unfortunately, the Fox News status surpassed Leo, and he unfortunately is not going to get the airtime to be able to rise up to that number 2 spot, even though he is far more capable. The Democrats are raising money to fight me, no one else, no other Republican, just me. And Republicans are spending their money in the same tired Republican tactic that Republicans always use when they can't compete. It's a negative campaign against another Republican. Regardless of this fact, I have been number 1 in the last 5 polls and number 1 in 9 out of the last 11. California is tired of the typical politician. We want an ethical leader we can trust to do the right thing. I have 32 years of trusted and proven leadership, especially the past 8 years as the Riverside County Sheriff. In November, California will choose a sheriff to keep their communities, families, and businesses safe. Californians, even Democrats, are going to vote for a sheriff to lead them. They will not vote for a Fox News commentator. I have a lifetime of American conservative values that I have never changed. In your decision tonight, you unfortunately have the choice. You have the choice between many, but there are really only 2 main candidates on the Republican side. And like I said before, and I'll repeat it, I wish the other one was Leo. I think Leo and I would have a better chance of finishing 1-2 than Steve is going to have finishing 2. I separated myself from the other with unwavering integrity and consistency. I was the first in the country to stand up to ridiculous COVID mandates. Riverside County stayed open. I was the first in the country to use overwhelming force in 2020 to end civil unrest and protect our county. I'm the only one who has never failed or flip-flopped in my Christian American values. One who has never been anything but pro-life, never been anything but pro-Second Amendment, and I have never supported Democrats or raised money for them or their causes. I have never and will never compromise my integrity for a vote. I have also, and I never and would never lie about any one of my opponents. With me as your governor, we will make public safety a priority. Crime will be a crime again. Our fire departments will be given the ability to mitigate the damage from fires with the removal of regulations preventing them from clearing space around our homes and our businesses. We will rebuild the infrastructure of California, our roadways, our waterways, our power grid. We will build dams and reservoirs to supply our farming community and residential neighborhoods with 100% of the water we need. We'll hold public utilities accountable to maintain their failing infrastructure while we move to a nuclear power supply. We will provide Californians with what we need to make sure we prosper. Our education system is absolutely broken, and it will be overhauled to actually educate our kids. We will move to school choice. Parents will decide. Never will there be another boy in your daughter's locker room. Never will they compete against your daughter in any sport, and you will not, for all you mothers, fathers, and grandparents, you will not have to vaccinate your kids to get them into schools. Our overall issue in California is the cost of living. This is due to two things: regulation and taxes. Nearly all regulations harming progress will be removed, and this is what you have to realize. Every single regulation in California can be removed with the stroke of a governor's pen. They are not laws. They are from boards and commissions, from appointed people, and the governor can remove every single one of them. CEQA, the California Coastal Commission, CARB, all of them are gone on my day one. All regulations will be removed from our building and our oil industry. And like Leo said, you can't remove all regulations. You remove all of the California regulations to make it to where businesses can compete like every other state. We have national regulations that regulate all of those things. We will be oil independent in California. No more 80% from the Middle East, making them rich. We will use all of the oil that we have in California. The little known fact, maybe some of you know, California has more heavy crude than any place in the world. Heavy crude is what makes everything. Everything that you're looking at involves petroleum. And California has more than any place in the world, and we're number 4 with sweet crude. So we will utilize all of our oil. We will be oil independent. Our housing industry will be stimulated like no other time in our history. I have friends that build single families and communities, and both groups tell me the same thing. A minimum of 1/3 of the price of a new home is solely to recover the costs that the builder has to pay the state or county governments for fees and regulations. That means we can lower house prices by 1/3 simply by removing government bureaucracy and regulations that actually prevent them from building. By the time I'm done, and I say this kind of tongue in cheek, but not really, by the time I'm done with my second term, California will no longer have a California state income tax. We are the greatest state in this country, and we will finally, once again, prove it. I want to thank you for considering me for the endorsement. If we come together, we can defeat the Democrat majority that we currently have in Sacramento. Join the majority of our elected officials, our California chiefs of police, our California sheriffs, and the growing number of county GOPs in supporting me as the hope to save California. I'm very humbled and honored to be able to serve all of you. Now let's take our state back.
Thank you so much, Sheriff. Are there any questions? Why don't you go ahead?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Oh, yeah.
Can we limit the questions from the delegates?
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much, Sheriff Bianco. Can you address the question of the BLM, the BLM? That was something that Steve Hilton brought up last night in debate.
Sorry,
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, good.
And it's actually something that I referred to in my statement, where I would never lie about another opponent, about one of my opponents. Steve knows exactly what that was. Steve knows exactly what happened, but he's trying to capitalize and make it into something that it's not. The bottom line is that was a very, very hostile, intense day. It occurred over hours, not over minutes. And the only thing that you're seeing is the video that fits his narrative. You're not going to see the interactions that we had where they were asking us to pray, where I was asking our deputies to pray if they wanted to. This was the time when the I don't want to call it, well, at that time it was not a riot. It was a protest. It was a legitimate protest. And quite honestly, as much as I disagree with everything about them, it is also my job to make sure that they can protest and that they are protected and everything else. But throughout that day, we ensured all of that. We ensured that they were abiding by the law, and they knew beforehand what the consequences were of it turning sideways. So when it started turning from a protest to a riot, we gave them 20 minutes to clear out of downtown. It's basically it's an order of dispersal. And when we did that, the organizers of that group came up to me. They thanked me for everything that we had done throughout the day. They thanked me for the professionalism of our deputies throughout the day, despite the odds and what they were faced with, the vileness of some of the protesters. And they told me where all of the weapons were hid. They told me what the Antifa types were wearing, what they were going to be doing, and what we could expect. And then the organizer of that protest asked me if we would pray, if we could pray with them for the safety of my deputies and whatever peaceful protesters were there, so they did not fall under harm. And of course I said yes. I would never say no. So that is exactly what happened. 20 minutes later, after that is all over, we forcibly removed them from downtown Riverside. There were 10,000 of them. And within an hour and a half, they were gone from a 16 square block radius. There were no businesses looted. There were no businesses burned. There were no reports of injuries to any deputies or protesters. We forcibly, for the first time during the riots of 2020, law enforcement used force against the protesters, and we showed that we could stop them, how you should stop them. And the conversation I had that night with the Los Angeles sheriff, they started doing it the next day. It took them 3 days to get theirs under control because they were a little bit behind the 8 ball. But the reason I went into that description is because of this. Those two things don't go together. Me kneeling to BLM and then, quite frankly, destroying them and kicking them out of Riverside County doesn't go together. And then I'll end just by saying this. Currently, I am arguably the nation leader of law enforcement. I am considered a nationwide leader of law enforcement, definitely in my state. And in my county, it is hands question. I am a law enforcement leader. None of that is possible. None of that is even remotely possible if I, as the sheriff of Riverside County, knelt to a domestic terrorist organization or was in cahoots with them or was doing anything with them during that time. They hate law enforcement. We are mortal enemies. They were formed to fight law enforcement. So it's very, very unfortunate that we are being shown little tiny snippets of video and still pictures and taking it entirely out of context to fit a narrative. The bottom line is this, and I don't mean this to be rude at all. In the end, I don't care what anyone thinks about that day. The only people that are important to me and the only people that I care about are what the deputies and the cops that were there think. There were 1,200 of them. And the bottom line is they all know what happened. The reason I'm still a leader of law enforcement is they know what happened. And it certainly isn't what Steve wants everybody to believe, to support or to revive his failing campaign.
So you're saying that you were actually kneeling in a prayer?
I have a question online, just so you make sure you.
So the answer, so what you are seeing is over many, that was a long period of time. Right there, when I was sitting there talking, the only video, I've watched the video that Steve's putting out there. Was I praying right there? No, I wasn't. And let me put it this way. In hindsight, if I thought I was going to run for governor 6 years later, I probably could have said, you know what, we'll pray standing up. But at the time, in the 6 or 7 hours that we were dealing with them, when we're doing everything we can to make sure that everybody goes home there safely, we were doing everything we could to get along, everything we could to make everything was, I was leading them just as much as I was leading deputies. So in the tiny little video, and I can tell even by the tone of the question of what you see that Steve is showing, of course I wasn't praying at that time, but that's not what we're talking about. The context of what happened in that event was definitely not me coalescing with BLM.
Okay, do you have what
Can
time?
I ask my question online?
Mindy, we'll come to you next. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, Sheriff Bianco, for appearing tonight and for your comments.
Okay.
I have a policy question. So it strikes me that in California, pretty much it's the case that behind every bad policy, there is a union, oftentimes a public sector union, most often the teachers union. they spent and they continue to spend an enormous sum of money to push policies that favor their interest groups, their constituents at the expense of average citizens. I'm curious if you have any thoughts about what can be done about that politically, whether through the legal system or through policy or governance under your leadership.
Yeah. So it's going to be easy to fix. So they basically made it legal. Everything that our legislature does, they pass a law 5 years earlier, so we can't prosecute them for doing it. The COVID money that is being laundered is being legally done, legally laundered by our lawmakers. And it's the people at the bottom that aren't protected. They're all going to jail. But the lawmakers have shielded themselves years ago with the laws that they passed. And it's no different with unions and accepting money and everything else. But you got to get to the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter is kind of what you said, where they wield the money. The money isn't necessarily the money that you see that's getting reported. The money is wielded between what they call the third party, the third house in Sacramento. That the monstrosity being added to the Capitol was a way for Newsom to build a building to allow lobbyists to have direct access with our lawmakers, so you couldn't see them walking across the street and going in the building. You couldn't see it going either way. Now you're not going to have any idea who's meeting with who, and that money's being exchanged behind the scenes. But here's the thing that every politician fears: getting elected again. And I am going to expose, we're going to lift up the shades in the Capitol building, and light is going to be put on the decisions that they're making and who they're dealing with. And it's going to be done no different than what I did in Riverside County. You have to realize that I am a blue county. I have a 4-1 Democrat board. The majority of my city councils are Democrat. And they are fully aware that if they do something outside of the best interest for the public, I'm going to expose them. And that's why nothing happens in Riverside County. That's why we have, or I will arguably say, and nothing about your county, but I will arguably say that Riverside County is one of the best run governments that we have, because we've kind of left politics out of it. So the teachers unions and everything that they're dealing with, it's the things that are done behind the scenes. And the bottom line is, why are they able to do it? And it's greed, and it's greed of money. So if we expose the people that are taking the money, if we make sure that the media, that the people know what is happening and who's interacting with these unions, then it's going to stop. Because here's the thing that I'm finding in this campaign. The majority, I went to I won't use teachers because we're talking about teachers. I'll use a different one, and our building industry, our contractors. I went to our contractors union and talking to them about their endorsement and getting their support and why they need to stop supporting Democrats. And the funny thing about their entire parking lot, there's probably about 100, maybe 125 cars in their parking lot. The vast majority of them had Chad Bianco for governor stickers in their window. And I go inside and they're telling me that they have to support the Democrat because Democrat, it's a blue state, they're going to win. And they just keep supporting these politicians despite what their membership actually wants. And so what we're finding in the last maybe 2 years is that these unions, the teachers unions, the teachers are finally standing up saying they want something different from their unions, and they're holding them accountable, and they're unelecting the people that need to be unelected and putting better people in there. So I get your concern about the unions. I think the answer to it is exposure. As soon as the entire state of California knows the influence that these unions really have and what they're doing, it's going to stop.
Okay, we're going to do one more, and it's going to be John Dennis.
No, hold on. I had my hand up.
You're back.
Is he back?
Yeah, he's still there.
Chad, one more question for you.
Hey, Chad, John Dennis, how are you?
That's not
Yeah.
right. I had my hand up.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Sheriff?
I can.
Uh-oh.
Yes, I can hear.
Can you hear us still?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, you can hear us.
Second.
Okay, here.
Fix the audio.
Or fix the audio, sorry. Oh, no.
No.
I
Audio,
did have my hand up.
sorry.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
LG.
Can you hear me?
Smart TV.
Can somebody else, Steven, try, give me an audio check. Give me a hello.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hi there.
Oh, shit.
Nope. Yeah,
I
so,
did have my hand up to be
yeah, Mindy, I'm
told.
not sure they can hear anyone on Zoom right now.
Well, that's a problem.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, we're back. All right. All right,
Okay.
Chad, go ahead.
Hey, Chad,
So-
Dennis, how are you, sir?
Good, thank you.
Hey, Chad, I've been in a lot of events together. By the way, congratulations on the polls. Really
Thank
appreciate your work around the state. In some of your speeches, I've heard you mention you were going to use the emergency powers to address the water issue.
Yes.
And you just mentioned that you want to repeal CEQA. I think you said the Coastal Commission, and the granddaddy of them all, my favorite, the income tax.
Yes.
Nothing sounds better. Those are all statutorily, they were all passed by the legislature. How would you get that done?
They actually aren't. Taxes are. Taxes are definitely going to have to be redone through the legislature, and that's why I say it's going to take 2 terms. It took Mississippi 6 years. The governor promised it in 4. He did not deliver. It took him 6. So that's why I'm not going to say we're going to do it in 4, even though I think California is better. We will, and I think that the majority of people want it, and the legislature is going to have to do it. I think what we're going to do with with oil is going to make it even happen faster. The money generated from using our own oil can completely fund state government, especially when we doge all of the things that need to be doged with the waste and the fraud and the abuse. But the other regulations are completely statutory. They are completely regulatory that come from a very, very obscure, and we have to realize that this one-party rule from the 50s has been extremely calculated. This didn't happen last year. A law, a very obscure, it's you read it and it's like, okay, that means absolutely nothing. And then 5 years later, a regulatory board deciphers whatever they want out of it, and then they increase fees or impose fees for that. That's how they've got away from years ago when we said we raised the level of what they had to get to pass a tax increase. So they just changed it and said it's a fee increase. It's no longer a tax, it's a fee from a regulatory board, and it's only it's a simple majority. And all of those signed away with the governor's pen, and the proof is Newsom already did it in January for the Palisades victims. But he only did it for the Palisades victims. He could have done it for the entire state, but they don't want us all to benefit. They don't want us all to be able to enjoy those things. It's purposeful. We have to realize it's purposeful, and anything that is regulatory from a regulatory board or commission can be signed away.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you so much, Sheriff Bianco. We really appreciate you appearing before us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Wishing you
Appreciate
the
you
best.
letting me do it this way.
Hey, Nick, before we go, Mindy had her hand up for pretty much the whole presentation. Do we have time for one more question from Zoom?
Up to Sheriff Bianco. Do you have a minute?
Sure, I'm fine.
All right, Mindy, go ahead.
Hi. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chad and Sheriff Bianco. I support everything you said. And in fact, today I had a ride along with the police in Oakland, California, experienced many things you're discussing. And I would like you to say more, because I know it's very important to California, your policy on getting rid of the drug cartels, which is essential to the development of our state.
Sure. So, I have 32 years as a law enforcement officer. The best time of my career was my time spent in narcotic enforcement. And I can tell you, throughout 32 years, the majority of crime that happens, whether it's homicides, thefts, kidnappings, murders, all of those things they have some type of a nexus to crime or to drugs. And we all know that the majority, if not almost all, come from one of the many different cartels that we have in California. One of the interesting things that happened back for California in 2014, not only when Prop 47 was passed, when drugs were made legal here, but our lovely Attorney General at the time, Kamala Harris, disbanded B&E, which was the Bureau of Narcotic Enforcement. We will absolutely revive that organization. I don't know if we'll call it B&E. We could, though. It could be symbolic. But what we have right now in the law enforcement world is we had a reprieve of about 8 to 10 months where there were no drugs coming into the country. The cartels were trying to recover from a border that was actually secured. And they went from these massive shipments of drugs back to what it was before Biden was there. And they're now going back to the business as usual. So we're still combating the cartels. It's just back to the old way of doing business. And we have, quite honestly, we're behind the 8 ball in training because we have a massive amount of new deputies, of new police officers that have never experienced this before. What the avenues that they're doing, not only the drugs, but it's human trafficking too. The drug cartels control both industries. If we are going to get a hold on the homeless institution that we have in California, we have to have enforcement. We have to have enforcement of the laws that they break, the drugs that they use, the drugs that they sell, and also get a handle on the supply. Border Patrol right now is doing a fantastic job keeping the border safe, but California state, here's a major issue. A lot of $10 million a year of the money that I use for drug enforcement comes from the federal government in a grant called Stone Garden. And the federal government now is refusing to disperse any of that money to any state that is a sanctuary state. So if you are a sanctuary state, you're not going to get federal funding. So we're losing $10 million worth of narcotic enforcement as it's coming across the border. So as the governor, we have to put a massive amount of money back toward B&E, toward narcotic enforcement, and then it goes toward the homeless institution industrial complex that we have to get rid of. We have to give them treatment. We have to get them off drugs. We have to get their mental illnesses taken care of, treated for that, make them productive again. But the bottom line is it does revolve around drugs, and we've been on a little hiatus in California, especially on the state level, of making sure that we're kept safe from that. And when I say that, this is the problem when you say that, is we go back to the mass incarceration for drugs. It was a lie. It's the emotions that we get preyed upon and we get all emotionally upset. There was never mass incarceration for drugs. Truth be told, you had to have 7 convictions for a drug crime before you actually went to prison. And that was prior to 2014. It's almost non-existent now. But we have to go backwards a little bit, and we have to get a little bit tougher on crime. I definitely don't want to just put everybody in prison and fill up the prisons again, but we have to get back to a consequence for especially the most heinous crimes that we're doing, particularly in the drug sales and the drug trafficking.
Love that. That's a great place to leave it. Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you again. All right. So our next speaker, who's here, and thank you, Gloria. You've been very patient. Up next is former State Senator Gloria Romero, who is a candidate for Lieutenant Governor.
Okay, I guess that's the cue. So thank you so very much for allowing me to come before you. I'm very appreciative of it. And people ask me, well, why run for Lieutenant Governor? First of all, let me give you a little bit of backdrop about myself. I was a Democrat. I was the majority leader of the California State Senate. I had been the majority whip. I had been the Democratic caucus chair. I was in leadership. I actually served with John Burton as well, who was the pro tem of the Senate. And yet, even when I was a Democrat in leadership, and that shows a high level of respect that my colleagues have for me, I was actually considered to be somewhat of an honorary Republican because I was one of those Democrats, even back then, who worked across the aisle. If you were to reach out to the former district attorney of Los Angeles, Steve Cooley, he ran for AG. I know you discussed that earlier. He ran for AG. He was defeated, but he and I had worked together to put through bipartisan legislation on looking at ethics in government, good government, basically restoring public integrity units and making sure that elected officials, those who serve under color of authority, are responsible and accountable. So we worked together on that. Former Senator Bob Huff, he was the vice chair of education. And if you reach out to him, he will tell you as well that he and I worked together, irrespective of party label, on making sure that we could turn around not just underperforming schools, but failing schools, and did a number of projects together to really advocate, especially for those kids, particularly trapped in some of the worst schools in California. Even the former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, when he was the minority leader in the Assembly, I was in the Senate then, he assisted me in in helping me move through legislation. And here is what I want to point out. It's because in those days, at least there was some bipartisan leadership at the various levels of government. Governor, Assembly, Senate. Today, it's all one party rule. And so I fought against this even as a Democrat. And for years, even after I left the legislature, I continued to work across the aisle, particularly on the issue that most motivated me, and that's the question of school choice. I know I could overhear some conversation you had about schools earlier. If we take a look at the K through 12 system, and I am a product of public education from kindergarten to PhD, including 2 postdoctoral fellowships at UCLA. So complete product of education in the public sector. It was important to me because my mother had a 6th grade level of education. Once upon a time, she worked cleaning homes for other people. And her one desire was to make sure that all of her children, there were 6 of us, would at least get a high school diploma. I not only got the diploma, I ended up earning a PhD, became the chair of the education committee, and was able to remember the roots I had and to fight for other, especially mothers, who reminded me of the mother that I had fighting for good quality education. So that's a little bit of my backdrop overall. And I fought on education. I fought to make sure that we could have bipartisan collaboration. If you reach out to Arnold Schwarzenegger, I worked with Gray Davis and I worked with Arnold. Arnold and I actually worked together on 2, I believe, significant pieces of legislation. And only because there was a Republican governor, a Democratic House, but I knew how to muscle legislation through the legislature to get it to a governor. And it takes also, I'm going to emphasize, having to develop the collegial relationships with all of the members. We worked on school reform. I wrote the historic, what's been called the Parent Trigger Law, which actually was very revolutionary, giving parents whose kids were trapped in failing schools identified by the state itself, to basically say, ya basta, enough, we're out of here, and to basically find a way to get their children out and into a better performing school. Arnold and I also worked together to rethink imprisonment, and we worked together to collaborate on renaming and providing additional resources and a mission of our prisons to not only make it the Department of Corrections, but to restore rehabilitation. So today is the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. It's a common sense proposal, but believe it or not, it took a lot of work to get that. And Arnold will say oftentimes that I was one of the few Democrats who dared to even go and smoke the cigar with him in the tent in those days, because there was still a lot of hostility that Arnold was there. I always said, the people have elected him. He is serving. I will work with the governor. So fast forward to Lieutenant Governor. The lieutenant governor, I often say it's like the Seinfeld of state government, because nobody knows what the lieutenant governor does. Most people can't even name who is the lieutenant governor. And so I often say it's like the Seinfeld, because people say, well, what do you do? And somewhat mockingly, it's sort of like the lieutenant governor is supposed to wake up in the morning and check the newspaper or X today and see, is the governor alive? And if the governor is alive, then there's nothing for me to do. Also, in addition to that, the lieutenant governor, sadly, is oftentimes what I think of as where basically failing politicians They go there to just sort of hover, like, aircraft over San Francisco airport when it's fogged in, just to sort of wait until they can fail up even further. That's kind of what the lieutenant governor position has been reduced to. And I don't accept that. I believe that even though much of the lieutenant governor position, there's not a direct role in many of the significant commissions on which I would be a leader on those. There, I always believe that it's not the position, it's the person. What do you make of that bully pulpit? You give me a bully pulpit, you give me the position, I will turn it into something that will speak powerfully to those communities and people who need change in their lives. So let me give you some examples. The lieutenant governor serves as a regent for the University of California. You serve as a trustee for the California State University system, and you serve as a governor on the board of governors for the Cal State system. Well, I'm a product of all three, and I've taught in all three as well. For example, looking at the region, I believe in meritocracy. I believe in merit pay. I believe in looking at making sure that we don't get into these situations like we've seen at UC San Diego, for example, which is a prime school in the UC system, where we saw just recently that a third of incoming freshmen are not ready to do college level work. And I saw that when I was teaching at Cal State LA, an East Side school where I am basically professor emeritus today, because I saw even back then that too many kids from the east side of Los Angeles, where I live, would come to the university, first generation college students like me, and they couldn't do college level math. So they were sent into remediation, and there would go the scholarship money. If you take a look at it today, to get through the CSU today, typically you think of getting a bachelor's in 4 years. It's 7 years and counting today. That's not affordable, it's not efficient, it's not right. And so those are things that the trustee can really do something about. And so there's a number of issues. On October 7th, I lived only a few miles from UCLA. And after October 7th happened, I was horrified by what I saw, because I had done 2 postdocs at UCLA. And never should a student, on the basis of race or ethnicity or religion or national origin, should ever be physically assaulted or prevented from the freedom of movement on a public campus. And on that day, a few days later, when we saw everything that was happening there, I actually did call my good friend Steve Hilton, who I have endorsed for governor, to go with me to UCLA to stand up and call upon the governor, call upon the lieutenant governor, who should be leading the Board of Regents, and to demand an end to this and for change. It hasn't happened. I do believe as well, too, in looking at that, that we can look at how girls in the system, female athletes, have been treated, and there's a need to reverse that. So a lieutenant governor using the position properly can make great change. In addition to that as well, the lieutenant governor serves on the Coastal Commission and the Land Commission. And you might ask, well, let me turn this phone off. The Coastal Commission, I live in Southern California, and you may have seen what happened in Paradise, but we went through the Franklin fire near Pepperdine. We saw the Palisades fire, which burned down most of Los Angeles, and then the Eaton fire, which is actually more of a working class community on the east side of LA County. And yet we've seen that there has been such a degradation and a disrespect for the survivors, where today we find so many families who are still being expected to pay property taxes on lots that are still burned out. Many of them have not been cleared out, and yet they cannot rebuild. And thankfully, the president has sent to California to make sure that there is an oversight and a leading, again, of the restoration, because Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom have not done that. But the lieutenant governor serves on this seat. So there's so much that can be done. In addition to it, the lieutenant governor serves as the president of the Senate. And this is important because I think this is our best year for a Republican to win. It's not a pipe dream. And so if the governor, a Republican, let's say if it's Steve, who I want, but if it's Chad who wins or somebody else, There's going to be lawfare in Sacramento. I've been in the belly of the beast. It will be vicious. I guarantee you not. It will be vicious there. So you need to have the kind of leadership who knows how to steward appointments, because that's probably the strongest thing that a Republican governor will be able to do. And the power of appointment is powerful. It's not just legislation, it's oversight, it's accountability. So who runs all the departments and who sits on those board of regents and the land commissions and the coastal commissions and all of these commissions, very important, but the governor has to get them basically nominated and then approved by the Senate. Lieutenant governor, president of the Senate, I was the majority leader, good relationships in the aisles. I know how to work that. I will be a key part of that team in making sure that we can get an agenda through. There are many things that I could say, but most importantly, I just want to address finally that I tried staying with the Democrat Party for so long. And even during that time, party label never stopped me. I readily endorsed Republican candidates. At one time, I received a cease and desist order, basically saying that I couldn't even call myself a Democrat because I believed in school choice. It was absolute madness. And we just said, you know what, go tell that to especially working class families whose kids are being denied the American dream, of which education is the great promissory note. And so I kept trying. Finally, I decided I had to leave. And so I did leave the party. This was 2 years ago. I didn't stop the middle of the road. I became Republican. And as Ronald Reagan had once said, he said, look, I believe that Hispanics really are Republican. They just haven't realized it yet. Faith, family, freedom. We believe in secure borders. We value citizenship. We want to make sure that we honor the troops that serve. And anybody who's ever been to the wall in Washington, D.C. and run your finger over the wall, you're going to find so many names like Gonzalez and Ramirez and Romero. And I attended, I went to a funeral from somebody who lost his life in Vietnam. So it matters to us why we have a border in the first place. I think too, in looking at it, people ask, well, how can you win? It's coalition building. This is not a Katie Porter moment where you say, oh, I don't want their votes. We've got to build this. You start with a solid Republican base, and we intend to work it because there is an anger out there against the governor, against the waste, the fraud, the abuse that happens. There's a feeling of just being ignored and lost by this gallivanting governor that runs across the country, but doesn't pay attention to California. See, we mobilize the base. We've got to do that. And you need a strong top of the ticket, but then we build from there. I was a Democrat, and I know many Democrats who are disaffected. Some have left, part of the walkaway movement, but many others have not. Many in my family have not walked away. They're not going to leave the D, but they will vote across party line. And we have to reach out. If we can win at least 20% of disaffected Democrats, even if they keep the D label after their name, it's a solid coalition. We go into the independents as well, who we find are very interested in basically stopping and breaking 16 years of one-party rule that has decimated the state. I'm also, as a Latina, I think it's important we're going to be reaching out. 40% of Latinos actually supported Donald Trump in the last election. We want to build on that for all of the reasons, including energy and school choice and a number of issues for which the Republicans put forth a stronger platform. And then again, too, I have worked very closely with many of the churches in Southern California and the Central Valley in particular. There's a lot of desire to have their children basically be under the care of the parents rather than the governor signing legislation telling schools that teachers can lie to the very parents about issues that the child might be facing. So there's a lot of issues there. There's a way to build this movement. I'm excited about it. I am honored to join with my good friend Steve Hilton, creating the golden ticket. Yes, we have to run separately, but it takes a team to work together. I'm so happy to be in the Republican Party. I tell you, it's so much more a party of joy. We believe in dancing. We're not protesting that there's a ballroom going up in DC. And so I'm happy. It's a big tent, and I'm proud to have been accepted within the party. So I thank you for considering me tonight, and I'm hopeful, and I would respectfully ask for your endorsement and support. I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, Senator Romero. Do you have time for maybe a couple questions?
Of course.
Okay. Any delegates that would like to ask a question, including online?
And I have a maybe.
I have a question.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't you go ahead first?
I don't know if you know the history of the state of lieutenant governors. Do you remember who is Mike Kerr? He was a lieutenant governor when I was in college in Berkeley.
Mike Kerr?
Curb.
Does that
Yes,
name
he
ring a
helped
bell,
be lieutenant
Gloria?
governor.
It does not.
Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah. Okay.
See, hopefully you look him up, and hopefully if you have to have an administration like his to go out there and be able to do things behind Governor Moonbeam's back.
Okay. All right. I see Jennifer's hand raised.
Yeah, so Gloria, first of all, thank you very much for coming and explaining the role of lieutenant governor. I think that's really helpful. And thank you for doing what you do. I think your personal story is really powerful. And also as Chinese American, I think a lot of what you said about how Latinos think about traditionally pro-family value, pro-law and order really resonate with a lot of immigrants like myself. One of my questions I have is that I understand in 2024, 40% of the Hispanics voted for the Republican Party, as you alluded. How do you think this the media story about ICE would impact the election for Latinos to vote Republican?
That's a very important a question. In fact, I was in the Central Valley just last week. I was in Fresno and I was in Harris Ranch. And so afterwards, I met with a number of the farmers, the Nisei farmers, and many of them too, we're talking about the impact in the fields. This is what I think, because there is an impact overall, make no doubt about it. I think, though, what President Trump has done with Tom Homan, and Tom Homan, I think, is just a hero. We saw awarded a Presidential Medal of Freedom, I believe it was, by President Obama at the time. Actually, President Obama deported more. He was known as the deporter in chief. And so I think there's a discussion about this that was going on by the farmers. I met with the bishop this morning, some of the church groups saying, look, you know, we've got to figure this out so that there's compassion and really emphasizing the important role of immigrants, but not to perhaps to the extreme that's taking place. So I think the shifting that the president has done, I think, is a very promising start. The way that I would look at it and talk about it is that the president has been very successful in closing the border, you know, making it secure, going after the worst of the worst. And I say this as a woman when I speak. I don't want rapists and pedophiles and the sex trafficking that we see here. And most people will say, yeah, let's go ahead. That's not right. I think when people start getting more nervous is when you see, you know, the grandmas. And so much of this is lawfare. It's out of the Democrat playbook. I know that for a fact. But the reality is, right or wrong, good or bad, no judgment on anything. When you do see 2 Americans die in a protest, no matter if you agree or you disagree, it's justified or not, it causes us to think. And so I think the president's actions were very powerful in saying, even today, saying, you know what, maybe we need a little bit more of a softer touch. And if the president can do that, I think for Republicans to speak out on that and to basically get that off the page so that we can focus on the economy, affordability, fairness, ending one-party rule, stopping the regulations that really smash small business owners, I think we'll be very successful.
Any other questions from delegates? Bruce.
Hi, Gloria. My name is Bruce Lowe. I am a member of Gen Z. Now, some of the other candidates who have spoken to us today have noted the importance of Gen Z. But also many Gen Z, many members of Gen Z are frankly very fed up with the status quo. In fact, many Gen Z people have never known a Republican-led government in California. What would you say to appeal to Gen Z and younger millennials as they come of age in California and make their voices heard?
Well, I spoke recently to the young Republicans of LA County, and it was interesting to meet with them and to talk about what had inspired me. And I actually went back to the moon landing, and none of them had ever seen it. So I gave them an order. I said, look, I gave them an assignment, go back and look at it. I described my generation of, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I look at Gen Zers and I think there is this desire to be involved. There is the sense of alienation and isolation. And more than anything, I think it's one where we say, we see you, we hear you, we want, it is your future. What do you want? One of the biggest issues that I find from Gen Zers is just the question of affordability. Will there even be an American dream for me? Can I afford anything? Could I ever retire? Could I ever buy a home? The gateway to the middle class, basically, in America. And so much of it is, I think, just really urging them to keep, whatever they dream, to keep it alive, to fight for it, that find out what inspires them. I remember being inspired that hot July night when we all huddled around a little TV. That was the moment for my generation. And I was a young teenager in those days, but it inspired us. I urge the Gen Zers, what's your big excitement? Because it's going to change, but take that, dream on it, build it, and don't give up on themselves. They have to determine what their own dream is. But for most of them, it's it's making things matter. I think more and more too, it's not just talking about politics, but blending the personal with that, making sure that we don't get so divisive that we claw each other's eyes out over policies that may never come to be. It is taking the time to get to know each other and to respect and to listen to each other. And I think, at least when I walked away from the young Republicans of LA County, they were very happy about that and said, they shared some of their dreams. And I just urged them, go do it. This is their moon landing. But their generation might have a very different aspiration and idea of what their dream is than maybe what you or I had in our day. But it's keeping a dream alive. That's something that is for the ages, I believe.
Thanks, Gloria. And we would love to have you speak to the San Francisco Young Republicans as well if you're ever up here.
I will be. Thank you so much. Please contact me. I would be honored to go.
All right, Senator Romero, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Please, consider the endorsement. Please go on. Thank you so much. And once again, just thank you for allowing me, a former Democrat, into the Big Tent. It is I'm so happy to be here. So thank you so much and good luck.
Thank you so much. All right,
Bye-bye.
take care. Okay. Some great speakers there. We're going to move on to new business, and the only new business is we have a vacancy. Well, actually, we have two vacancies in AD 17, but we have an appointment to consider, which is Stephen Scott. To the delegates, I circulated his resume to everybody, and Stephen is here.
Motion.
Sorry.
John, do we need a motion for all this?
Should we do a motion to appoint him and then have him present?
Discussion.
Yeah, he has to accept it and then.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion, actually. If you don't
Okay,
mind.
yeah, sure.
I'd actually like to move, I think Steve's resume is very impressive and I'm sure he's going to be a great member of the committee. I've been on doing this for 20 years on this committee. We've never appointed anyone to the committee who isn't here in person. So I don't think there's any pressing business. If we can put this off till next month, I'd make a motion that we postpone this until next month.
Did we have an objection to that?
I object.
What's that?
I object. A second. I'll second the motion.
All right. So it sounds like enough people want to kind of hold off until Steve, will you be able to? Oh, yeah.
There's a motion. on the floor.
Okay, motion on the floor.
There's discussions in order and then a vote.
Okay.
And again, I just want to repeat though, in terms of speaking to the motion, that I'm sure I look forward to voting for Stephen and having, but I think it's appropriate for him to be in person.
Yeah.
Okay. Discussion.
Well, maybe he can explain why I wasn't able to make it. Maybe he had an emergency.
Yeah, no, I was in Mountain View for a big chunk of the day today, so I didn't have the opportunity to make it back to the city in time to make the meeting. So
Yeah.
I could absolutely be there next month if we wanted to delay this until next month. That would be fine with me. If we want to go ahead and get it done now, that would be fine with me too.
Okay. Do you want to just do a voice vote on this? All those in favor of John's motion to postpone this to next meeting?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Any opposed? That's like none. Okay. The motion passes. Sorry, Stephen. We'll to be fair to Stephen, he did let me know that he wasn't able to make it to this meeting in person for the scheduling reasons that he had. But we'll have you back at the next one. Okay, reports. Chairman reports. There's a lot going on that will come out in the vice chair reports, so I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. I am now including in our agenda some kind of basic registration data. John, did you see this? Actually, let me share it. So where we are now, we're about 7.7% of registered voters in the city. And the Democrats currently are at 62%. First vice chair, Jennifer, do you have anything for us?
I don't have anything to report.
Next is treasurer.
Yeah, hi
Chris.
everyone. I sent the report out earlier today. Basically, for the month of January, not much happened. About 600 in funds coming in, all of that by Anadot, and about $1,200 in expenses, our typical expenses going out. So net, we were down almost 600. We're still at $21,500 for the year in the bank. So still in pretty good shape at this point.
Okay. Anything, David? No?
Okay.
Volunteers? Yes.
About the financials, and I did talk to Chris briefly. The Christmas party appears to have lost $2,500. Is that's all inclusive?
Chris, are you with us? Can you?
Yeah. What I explained to Leslie that the loss was $2,100. That compares to about $1,500 loss in 2024. Unfortunately, I wasn't at the party in December. I was traveling at the time. I'm not sure of the exact reasons. Maybe Tom might be able to shed some light, but I had guessed that there might have been some guests that had been invited along that that were potential donors, for example, who we comped, and also the booze was probably flowing freely. That's what it sounded like. So there is a loss, but overall, our financial position is quite good. We did raise quite a bit of funds last year, about 11,500, I think it was, versus in the end, versus about $16 at the end of 2024. So financially, we're still in a good shape. But I think Leslie's point was that should we be having events like this where we're actually losing money? And I would open that up to the floor to say, is that a problem for us? Because maybe it is. Maybe we should be running a tighter ship. So
I will say I have a strong feeling on this, which is I think holiday party. It's the end of the year celebration. It's where we extend appreciation to our donors and our volunteers. And if it loses, it's always run at a slight loss, and it doesn't bother me if it runs at a slight loss.
Yep, noted.
If you had like lots of potential big donors, yes, but I'd like to see some analysis. I think it's poor discipline.
Okay, I disagree. Again, it's the end of the year holiday party, and the loss on that event I don't think is that meaningful.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Yvette.
Just maybe just for clarity purposes, John, could you clarify if it is customary that we run at a loss? And while I agree, I think it's important to reward and celebrate our volunteers and have a party. I know as vice chair of volunteers, I worked within my budget and had pretty phenomenal events for our volunteers, but had a specific budget for it. So, John, maybe you could provide some insight so we could have some better discipline.
Well, regarding 2024, we decided to invite the committee members, and there was some confusion on that expense between the establishment and the party, and so it went a little over budget. And actually, we shouldn't chase them for some money, so that's why there was a little bit of a loss there. However, we offset that by actually having a really successful event in February of that year, where we made somewhere around, I want to say $20,000. So we sort of took all that into consideration, but the committee was aware that we were likely going to break even or lose a little bit of money, and that was decided beforehand for the Christmas party in 2024.
I think if you're going to run deficits, you should tell us in advance and be planning to do that. Every event should be to break even, in my book, unless you have some overriding benefit, like you invited a lot of potential donors. That's fine, but I'd want to know beforehand.
I appreciate that point of view. Jennifer, anything?
Oh, I was at the party like many of us, right? Party was well attended, and most of the delegates actually paid the entry fee. And I let Tom speak about flowing because we were actually tracking with drink tickets. I think the one thing that we did additionally is merchandise there, but since it's a new process, the merchandise were great, but we were really not doing any sales there because we were just not really staffed properly. So I think the attendance was good. I think we got a great venue, and overall, I think the experience and the atmosphere was great.
Yep. All right. Moving on to volunteers. Jen's not with us. Okay. Special events. Tom, anything else? Yes.
We have the votive system, which is a good system. Can we get precinct captains get new lists?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. I will.
Supposed to be contacting our.
Yeah, I will work on getting you a new precinct captain list. Okay. Sorry, special events. Tom, anything else?
We're circling around on the Lincoln Reagan dinner and kind of putting that together. Nothing to announce at this point, but should have something to announce, I think, fairly soon.
Okay. Political affairs.
One point.
Oh yeah, John.
Tom, if you need some help with speakers, please reach out.
Okay. Understood. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Political affairs.
Yep. Following on exactly that topic, we do have a speaker for Lincoln Reagan. I think everyone's going to be very excited about it. It's not Joe, but it's a Joe-like person, a member of the tech right. Not ready to announce exactly who it is. We'll be ready to do that next month once we have everything firmed up. But what I would like to do, I think it's proper, kind of following on Leslie's point here about transparency with the committee. We want to book a venue in July. That's his availability to come to the event. And we'll need to put down a deposit sooner rather than later. I think we've traditionally done it at Marines Memorial, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That's one of the venues we use.
Do you remember what the deposit is for an event there?
They used to ask for a deposit, and then we kind of would always do it like in the last minute after we collected revenue. So it was a little flexible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just gonna ask the committee then, make a motion to approve an allocation of, let's say, up to $1,000 for a deposit on an
That won't
event.
be enough.
That's not gonna be enough.
They won't take
Yeah, they'll want more than that.
for the deposit?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. How many people are you expecting to attend?
I think we could definitely get 200 or more to it.
Okay, then they're gonna want a larger deposit. I would say 7,000.
7,000. Okay.
If you could get away with not giving it to them, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Let me. The committee should approve that.
Let me carefully phrase the motion.
Yeah.
I move to allocate up to $7,000 for the purposes of a deposit on an event at the Marines Memorial Club in July for Lincoln Reagan dinner, with the understanding that I will attempt to not pay that deposit for as long as possible, and ideally until next month when we have announced the speaker.
So second.
I'll second it.
Okay. We'll do a voice vote, sorry, any discussion? No? We'll do a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Anything else for political affairs?
Nope, not at the moment. Thank you.
Communications, if anybody's interested in the communications role, please let me know. That is a vacant chair position. Any announcements?
I have 4 petitions. Local tax vote to require good vote for raising local taxes. Save Our Children's Future, which is the inheritance property tax. And the 4th one is to allow ballot measures initiated by the voters at every election, not just on even years. So if anyone wants to sign, I have them.
Question. Do you have the CEO Act one as well?
No,
Oh, so
they just come out?
the CEO Act is the fellow running, Dr. Kevin McNamee, presented to the CCA, the County Chairman's Association, in December. It wasn't a great month because low attendance, but it's a measure to allow people to develop educational accounts and also allow them to go to different schools. It's kind of a backdoor school choice thing. And he's in the moment raging to get signatures. So petition is out. They're up to about 450,000 signatures.
It's called CEO.
CEO Act. Yeah, just look it up online, and then I'm happy to get the petitions out.
Okay. Any other announcements? George.
Yes, on Thursday, February 12th, there is a TPUSA Patriot Academy, TPUSA Patriot Academy course starting on biblical citizenship. It is free. It is on Zoom. Go to patriotacademy.com, scroll down to biblical citizenship, set up the filter in the class to select biblical citizenship, and then go to February 12th. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. It's going for, I think it's 8 weeks until April 2nd. I've been enrolled in a shortened version of this class. I've been attending in person in Pleasanton. It's very good. The longer version is better. And here's the thing. We know that we don't have, there's a lot of conservative people in the local churches that are not participating. So the more of us that can go to something like this, the better equipped we are to engage in conversation and encourage them to get more involved in politics. It is Jew and Christian friendly, and I recommend it to all of you. patriotacademy.com.
All right, thank you for that, George. Any other announcements? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.